Hello, my name is Lucille Mills, and welcome to the show. Today I finished The Temptation to Exist by Emil Cioran, or Cioran. This is translated by Richard Howard from the French, with an introduction by Susan Sontag and a foreword by Eugene Thacker. I will start this book with a note on the author. Emil Cioran writes, I was born on the 8th April 1911 in Rosanari, a village in the Carpathians, where my teacher was a Greek Orthodox priest. From 1920 to 1928, I attended the Sibiu Grammar School. From 1929 to 1931, I studied at the Faculty of Arts at the Bucharest University, postgraduate studies in philosophy until 1936. In 1937, I came to Paris with a scholarship from the French Institute in Bucharest and have been living here ever since. I have no nationality, the best possible status for an intellectual. On the other hand, I have not disowned my Romanian origins. I have, had I to choose a country, I would still choose my own. Before the war, I published several various essays in Romanian of a more or less philosophical nature. I only began writing in the French in about 1947. It was the hardest experience I have ever undergone. This precise, highly disciplined, and exacting language seemed as restrictive to me as a straitjacket. Even now, I must confess that I do not feel feel completely at ease with it. It is this feeling of uneasiness which has led me to ponder the problem of style and very honestly of writing. All my books are more or less autobiographical, a rather abstract form of autobiography. I admit since 1949, Emil Cioran has written A Short History of Decay, The Trouble with Being Born, Drowned and Quartered, History and Utopia. I have read other works by Emil Cioran, which I would plan to do on this channel eventually. Now a foreword by Eugene Thacker. In the foreword, Eugene Thacker writes about the history with Cioran and the existentialists of the 50s, in which was Sartre, Camus, and Simon De Beauvoir, who all visited a French cafe in Paris, and among them was Cioran, who was a quiet fellow and did not speak much, and after publishing his first work, it caused much of a surprise to his colleagues and friends. At the end of the foreword, Eugene Thacker writes, insofar as the book has a theme, it is that to exist is to be tempted to exist in time, to exist with plans, to exist in a human-centered world of our own making or destruction, propelled towards an unforeseen future and pending for loss and non-existent past. If Cioran is a pessimist, it is because he refuses to place his faith in human beings, let alone God or science. According to this foreword, Cioran refuses to place his faith in human beings. That is mainly where me and Cioran disagree. I find value and I place meaning towards human beings in general, and I do see their potential to be good as well as evil. On page 14, in the introduction, it states, to exist, Cioran says in that essay, is a habit I do not despair of acquiring. Let's now move over to the main body of essays, the temptation to exist. Some men make their way, quote, affirmation to affirmation. Their life is a series of acceptances, forever applauding reality of what passes for it in their eyes. They accept the universe and are not ashamed to say so. there is no contradiction they cannot resolve or regulate to the category of the way things turn out. The more they let themselves be contaminated by philosophy, the more they pride themselves faced with the entertainments of life and death on being good, being a good audience. So, Cioran says, the more one places value on philosophical notions of life and death, the more pride they have for themselves. Moreover, in one of the aphorisms it says, quote, before affecting our perception of duration, acquired relatively late, the fear of death attacks our sense of dimension, of immediacy, our illusion of what is solid. Space shrinks, shoots from our grasp, turns into thin air, becomes entirely transparent, or fear replaces space, welling up until it obscures the very reality that provoked it, until it substitutes itself for death. So our perception of time alters, and the fear of death attacks our sense of dimension, as quoted by Cioran, of immediacy. It is an illusion, our fear of death, or more so, death itself. In this book, Cioran analyzes certain civilizations such as the West, Russia, and other countries as well. I didn't like that portion of the book, mostly because I disagreed with what he had to say towards the Jewish culture in large. And if you're interested in the more pessimistic or lack of hopefulness of a book, then this is the book for you. Thank you and have a good night.